Hello everybody, welcome to Kitabeclub. So, like I always start with my IGTV that all good things take time. I think so this is what it is. Let me add my guest. Okay. Yes. Okay, this should be good. By the time Ross joins in, yeah, hi Ross.
Hello. Hello. It's
Yeah.
lovely to be here.
Yeah, now this is perfect. This is some amazing.
Great. Excellent.
Ross, before I talk to you,
Yeah.
this is more of a fangirl moment where I love all your books, all
Oh,
seven of them. This is like, I am
thank you.
talking to you, not as a book club. This is what I would say to you. As a
Oh,
child, I always believe that there is somebody who is out in the universe not showing up, definitely an alien. And you're and as I grew up, I was like, okay, this is childish conversation. But your books made me again believe that there is somebody out there in the universe waiting to just show. So thank you
thank
so
you
much,
so
Ross, for
much.
this.
You're very, very kind. It's lovely to hear that, the things that I write have, touched people's hearts and imaginations. So thank you very much.
Oh, I would say that okay, this is way beyond what I've thought of, but I cannot somehow believe that I'm talking to you. But thank you so much. This has been with me. I've read this book thrice, and after the life, I'm sure I'm going to read this again.
Oh,
But
great.
Ross, yeah. So let me tell my viewers something about Ross. Ross was a journalist and a television producer before becoming a full-time writer. He started his first book in 2014, and that came out in 2016. Books by the name, you are all aware of it. Books by the name Time Traveling with a Hamster. How cool is that? What not to do if you turn invisible? I am going to wait for that when I turn invisible. The 1,000-year-old boy, the dog who saved the world. We are all pet lovers here, and we love dogs. So yes, this is interesting. The kid who came from space into the sideways world, and when we got lost into dreamland. That's like whole
Yeah,
of
it's
books.
sounds strange seeing them all, hearing them all read out like that. I've been busy.
I know, I know.
Yeah.
You have been keeping us busy also. Reading, every time there's a new book comes in, I'm like, okay, I need my copy.
Oh,
Ross,
great.
I read out all the titles which you have written, and they're far away from being a typical, title of the book. So,
Mm.
what would you describe your writing journey like?
What in terms of writing a particular book, writing a single book, or how I got to become an author.
Yeah, how you got to become an author, and why your all the titles are a little quirky. They are not a normal title.
Well, gosh, where do I start? I, I kind of drifted into being an author. It was never something. It wasn't something that I had in my heart from when I was little, or I I was unemployed for a little while. I was unemployed for a while.
Hmm.
I had a lot of time on my hands, and I decided that I would try and use some of that time to see if I could write a book. I mean, I wasn't unfamiliar with writing. Composing stuff. I'd I'd written. I'd been a journalist and a television producer and so on. So I was used to sitting at a computer, at a keyboard, and writing stuff. So I just thought,
Yeah.
I'll see if I can see. I had this vague idea of a story about a kid who found a time machine, you know, um, and so I just decided to see if I could write it. And to my very great good fortune, what I ended up with was a version of Time Traveling with a Hamster, which I sent to an agent, and she loved it, and she suggested some changes. But as soon as I'd made those changes, she submitted it to various publishers, who all seemed very keen, which is nice. And I ended up with HarperCollins, which is who I'm still with in the UK.
Yes.
I don't know. I think it's HarperCollins India that publishes me.
Yes.
So that was my writing journey. It's very unusual compared with a lot of writers who start very, very young and they write loads and loads of stuff that ends up in a drawer somewhere, or they write off endless applications to agents and get endless rejections from publishers. I suppose I'm glad to say that my writing journey was nothing like that at all. Very different from that. I was very fortunate in that the first thing that I wrote happened to be popular, and after that, I just kept writing. And as for the titles, well, the truth is, I don't think of them. It's nearly always my editor who comes up with the titles. So I can't really claim anything. There's one. I came up with the 1,000-Year-Old Boy, and that was just a working title, and it ended up sticking. But all of the other, I'm hopeless at titles. So. I think the original working title for Time Traveling with a Hamster was Letters from a Time Traveler, or something really boring like that. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was something really dull. And it was my editor who suggested that we put the hamster in the title. He says, because children love hamsters, and it immediately makes it a little bit quirky and funny and original, and people going, hands up. And so that's how we end up with the quirky titles. Yeah. And now I've got to do it. Now I've got to have something weird in the title. I couldn't ever do an ordinary or a single word title or anything like that. They've always got to be a little bit long, a little bit funny.
That was the reason I read your first book. I was of the opinion that who writes, who time travels with a hamster?
With a hamster, who indeed, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Well, do you know what? It was originally when I first started writing it. It was going to be a dog. I had a dog in there, just for the first few chapters. And then I thought, no, the dog is too boring. Everybody writes about dogs. I mean, I write about dogs as well, but I just wanted something different. Also, a dog was too big. I wanted something that he could put in his pocket. And so dogs are too big to go into the time machine. So it was a question of practicalities. So I made it a hamster.
Yeah, because if you are planning to time travel, you should consider about the animal you're going to take. Right?
Exactly. You're going to be able to take it with you.
True. Very true. Ross, you're also a member of the Magic Circle.
I am. Do you see my badge?
Yeah. And
here's my badge.
Oh my goodness. I cannot believe that I'm seeing it. Wow.
That's my badge. I have it on my desk here. Yeah.
Oh my God. And let me tell the readers and the viewers that the Magic Circle is the world's oldest club for magicians and requires an audition to join. Yes.
You have to. You have to. You have to prove that you're not completely rubbish. But other than that, the standards are not that high. You just have to prove that you're not going to embarrass people. Do you want to see something?
Yeah, I would love that.
I thought you would ask that, Rita. This is one of the things that I showed when I was doing my Magic Circle audition. Funnily enough, I call it the time travel rope trick. Okay, because it was you'll see why. Now I'm going to have to move back a little bit. I promise you, if you were here with me, I would give you the rope and I'd let you you know, tug it and do all of that. So so I'm going to cut it into 2 pieces like that.
Okay.
Now, when I cut it into 2, okay, I'm going to use time travel to go back in time to when the rope was in 1 piece about 30 seconds ago. Okay, it's simple time travel. I go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then the rope is back into 1 piece like that. Now, people always say, I'd like to see that again. You know, you didn't really time travel. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. We're going to go back in time to when the rope was in 2 pieces. You get that? But again, only about a minute ago. It goes 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we've got the rope back into 2 pieces. Now, the interesting thing is when I do it in slow motion, okay, you'll see exactly how it works. Okay, we got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then. No, all right. I know. You can see the knot. I'm cheating a little bit. So what I'm going to do instead, okay, you can see that's a real knot on there. Okay. I want everybody in India and everybody watching, okay, to count with me. Okay, and you'll see the knot fall off and you'll see the rope go back into 1 piece. Okay, are you ready? Go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There we go.
This is
Rope is 1 solid piece. How about that?
this is sorcery. I fail to believe that you are not a wizard. I honestly fail to believe that, and that's fantastic.
Oh, thank you very much. That's one of my favorite tricks. I've been doing that since I was a kid. Really, since I was a kid. It's one of my favorite tricks and one of the oldest ones I do.
Wow.
And,
So now
and the good thing is, if people are wondering how it's done, it's in lots of children's magic books. That one, okay. If you go to the library or whatever and look up, you probably won't have to look very far before you find out the secret, because it's in quite a lot of children's magic books. You know how to do magic. So it's not a massive secret, but I'm not going to tell you how. You have to go and look it up for yourself.
true. So next time I meet you, I will do this trick for you. I will
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
How cool is that, at the same time, magic is something we all enjoy as adults and as kids, all equally. A lot of people are saying that in the comments also.
Yes.
Ross, your books are you come across as a children's author, but at the same time, your books can be read by anybody. So I would say that from 8 to 99 or 100 for that matter, anybody can read that book. So would you ever write? Yeah.
Did I ever write, or would I ever write for adults? Yeah, maybe. I do like writing for children. I like the responses that I get. It's also quite handy to know exactly what you're going to write. In as much as it's quite handy to have limits, because if I could just write absolutely anything, well, that's too big a thing. It's useful to be able to know, well, I can't write that. I don't, so it makes it a smaller choice of what I can write about. And so writing for children does do that. It's quite a strict discipline. Writing for children, there are certain topics that you can't do, or you have to be very, very careful about them. I like having children in the story, because all of the kids that I write about in my stories are about 10, 11 years old, and that's my favorite age. I think that's when children are at their most exciting. Between about 8 and 12, that middle grade, it's when the whole world is expanding before them. And, very often, well, certainly in the UK, very often that's the age that they transition schools. They're fluent readers normally by that age. It's a very exciting age, and they're still very, very funny, and still cute and innocent as well. So I love writing for that age, but I never like to imagine. I could never write for. I could never. It's just not the way I write, childishly, which I think is why I have so many adult fans of my books, because the topics that are included in my stories are kind of universal. And there's usually one or two interesting adults in the books as well. So I get frustrated when I read children's books in which the adult characters are not fully rounded. Do you know, they're not fully developed. I think that's a bit of a cheat on the reader sometimes. And so maybe because I have quite a lot of interesting adult characters in my books as well. That's one of the reasons that my books are popular with grown-ups.
True, very true. I mean, I honestly feel that, whether you write specifically for adults or not, I love the books they're written. They are equally enjoyable for the adults also. There is no need specifically to go into that category. And like you said, that limiting makes sense.
Yes.
Sticking to a topic makes sense.
Yeah. So I might write for grown-ups one day, but at the moment I'm just too busy. I have a contract that's going to keep me busy for the next 3 years. So
Okay, so
there's more coming.
Yeah. So would you share some secrets with us?
Share some what?
Secrets with us.
What is to come?
Yeah.
I can't tell you that at the moment. Well, I mean, I can tell you. All I know, I don't even have a title for my next one. But I'm writing. Hang on, you can see that this is where I write. This is my
Wow.
So I was right now. Right now, I'm a bit stuck. Actually, I came into my office this morning and I opened up my my document. And actually, until I've spoken to you, I've spent a couple of hours chewing pencils and fiddling on the internet because I can't think of where to go with my my story at the moment. It's a future. This one it's another time travel story, but it's set in the future. Probably about 500 years in the future. So that's quite interesting. And yeah, there's a couple of characters, but they're not quite like. I've got to finish it in. Hang on, what are we now? February, March, April, May, June. I've got about another 3 months to finish it. So, but I'm a bit stuck at the moment. So, but it'll be all right. I mean, I get like this with all of them. So, but other than that, I can't really tell you anything about it.
That's a lot of information. I now know that there's a book which is set up in more than like 500 years later down the line, which is extremely, interesting, because Stephen Hawking once said that the idea that, we are alone in the entire universe is implausible and arrogant. And this book particularly does quite a lot of justice to it when Helian, I think so I'm pronouncing it right, comes down on Earth, and the book starts as like a normal alien story, but by the time it reaches almost 60-70%, it gives a very important life lesson. And I have somehow seen that this your book starts on a very fun note, and somehow very slowly they will have a message where you don't find it preachy, but you have something to add on to.
Well, that's nice that you say that. Any messages in my books, and I say messages, they're heavily disguised and delivered very gently. I hate kids' books which hit you over the head with a particular message, and I don't think kids like them very much either. The kids can spot a message a mile off, and they know if they're being preached to. So I think and also I think at that age, I think the messages, the takeaways from stories have to be pretty much within the realms of kindness, bravery, loyalty, these universal things. I don't I don't want to tell children how to think or how they should view the world in a particular way, other than some of these broad ideas of kindness and bravery, for example. So somewhere, or in the case of The Kid Who Came from Space, trying your hardest, doing your best. I mean, that's these sound like old-fashioned values, and they are in a way, but they're kind of universal.
True. It makes it more connectable. You somehow believe that, okay, this is something what we all should do, not just as kids, but we all should do that. It makes
Yeah.
it relatable.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so, anyway.
Ross, 7 books in total, and so many characters, so many characters.
Yeah.
I need to ask this: which is your favorite character?
Favorite character? Oh, that's like asking me which is my favorite child.
Yeah.
I think a perennial favorite of mine, I think, would probably have to be from my very first book, and it's Grandpa Byron in Time Traveling with a Hamster. I think for all sorts of reasons. Not only is he a lovely old guy and very wise and all of that, but I think because that was my very first book, it was, and I was still learning how to do it. The appearance of Byron in Time Traveling with a Hamster was magic. There is no other word for it. I knew I wanted a grandfather in the book, and that's all. I didn't know anything other than that. So I was just writing one day, and I wrote. It's the classic knock on the door. And that happens actually in several of my books. There's a knock on the door. Somebody is there bearing news or something.
Yeah.
So I wrote the knock on the door. Al goes to answer it. I'm just writing this, and I had to describe somebody. I had to describe who was there. I had no particular idea. And I wrote this description of who was standing at the front door. And then I read it back, and I thought, that's quite funny. And I'd just written this elderly Indian guy with orange-coloured robes, with a motorcycle helmet under it, and I thought, that is really weird. And he's got motorbike boots, and I thought, and I don't know where that came from. And that's when I realised, well, hang on, if this guy is Indian, that means that Al is at least part Indian. Because I hadn't written that bit yet. I hadn't written any of that. But Al's name was, well, in the book now he's called Al Chowdhury, but I think he was Al Smith or Al Jones or something boring like that. So it was the appearance of Byron on the step that informed that all of the rest of the Indian characterizations all the way through the book. And I had to change all sorts of things. But that was magic, because that was an accident that gave the book so much character that I wasn't expecting. It was just literally one day I was writing and this happened, and it taught me that the magic of any writing. Of any book, it only happens when you're actually writing. That's when it happens. It doesn't happen when you think. I can go for a walk with the dog and to clear my head sometimes, which I often do. But the magic actually happens when I'm writing, and I think a lot of writers say the same thing. So I would have to say it was Grandpa Byron, for not only because he's great, but his appearance taught me an awful lot about the craft of writing, really.
Wow. You know, he is one of my favorite characters, but at the same time, there is a whole thought process. There's this journey I never knew, and this is superb.
But,
Uh, uh, yeah, sorry.
so go on.
No, you were adding something, Ross. I mean,
No,
I'm
I
sorry.
wasn't sure I'd heard you properly. That's all.
Okay, yeah. Ross, since you write, since you started writing from 2014, there is sometimes in your head that, okay, this is my first book. I need somebody to read it. So, who usually is, is reading your drafts? Who is the first
Uh,
one to read your drafts?
Nobody now. Nobody now. My wife read um, Hamster. Obviously, I showed it to my wife, and she loved it. But of course, I didn't believe her. You know, um, I then gave it to my daughter to read, who must have been, I think she was probably 13, 12 or 13. So,
Hmm.
a good age to read it. She read it and she loved it, but of course I didn't believe her. And it wasn't until I got a completely independent person who it turned out to be the woman who would become my agent. It wasn't until she read it and told me that she thought it was great that I actually believed somebody. Because you give it to your wife to read. Of course, she's going to say it's wonderful. Now my wife prefers reading the book when it actually comes through the door, the actual finished product. And yeah, so I don't show anybody. I don't show it to anybody until I send it to my editor. Not even my agent now. I just send it off to my editor because I trust him completely.
Nice, Um, Usually when I say a goodbye, I say that this was a fun conversation or this was good. But then with Ross, I started with the introduction as was a journalist and a TV producer, now an author. Now I would do the introduction as Ross was a journalist, television producer, author, wizard, an amazing storyteller, and he weaves magic. This is what my goodbye to you would be, Ross.
Sweetie, you're very kind. Thank you very much. It's been lovely talking to you. And can I just say, while I've been doing this, I've been seeing the messages going up. I haven't been
Yeah.
able to read them all, but it's a delight. Can I just say thank you to everybody who's joining and listening. I can't read all of the messages, but it's so nice to see that so many people are engaging with my stuff. So thank you very much.
Oh, you have made us time travel back to our childhood. All those fun things we want to, you have made us revisit that. And I would recommend everybody out here to have all the books of Ross Welford. It's a set you should buy, and it
Thank you
has to
very
be a
much.
paperback. The paperbacks do the justice. Kindle is obviously ebook is a convenient choice we a lot of us make, but then you need to have something of this when you go to bed. That my son loves the cover.
Oh
Anyways, the
yeah,
kid
yeah.
who
The
came
the
from
covers are
space.
great. Again, I have nothing to do with them,
Yeah.
but they're great.
Thank you so much, Ross.
Thank you, Shweta. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Yeah. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.
Good night.